Good evening. This is the meeting of the Prince George's County Police Accountability Board. Today's date is on August 28th, 2024. Time is now 6:36 p.m. Take the roll. If you are in person, just say present. If you are attending the meeting virtually, just say present virtually, please. Vice Chair Sanchez. James. Present. Brian.
I'm here, present, virtually. All right.
Springs.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Coleman.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Jones. I heard, yep, got you, sir. Mr. Melton. Present. Mr. O'Neill. Present. Mrs. Britton.
Present.
Thank you. All right, going with the agenda. Do we have anybody that signed up to speak? You guys? No. Okay. Thank you. Minutes. Did everyone get an opportunity to review the minutes? Okay. Get a motion to approve the minutes. We need more time to review.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second, sorry.
July 10th.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Motion made to approve the minutes from July 10th, made by Mr. Melton, second by Mrs. Springs. All in favor to approve the minutes from July 10th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? All right. Minutes are approved. Right. Next up, third quarter chiefs meeting, under reports and updates. We had our meeting, and please forgive me, I forgot the police chief's name from Bladensburg. But we met with Chief Collington. We met with Sheriff Carr and Police Chief Malabaziz. We had a great discussion, robust discussion, transparent discussion. So we learned a lot of things. I took some notes. So we did have, that was our second chief's meeting. We took third, that was our third. Oh. And we had some good information that came out about them. And more chiefs meetings to come. Next up is National Night Out. I know all of us participated in the National Night Out as well as staff. So at this time, we'd like to open it up for any discussion, updates about it. I'll start off. I went, I think it was District Heights. They had a pretty large one. And when I arrived, Mr. Melton was already there along with the staff. Mrs. Ridley was there. Council Camp was there. Mr. James came as well. So I tried to, I think I visited 3. That was my first one that stayed there the most. And we had a really good time. We had an opportunity to speak. So all of us got up on stage like we were superstars. And I think it went really, really well. So and then I did stop at Oxon Hill, I believe it was. But by the time I got there, they were wrapping up. So I got an opportunity to see it's backing up. I got an opportunity to meet, I would say, an honorary member of our police accountability board. Ms. O'Kenny's mom even came out to work and volunteer. And she was actually carrying things. So she is an honorary member of the police accountability board. So we need to get her a t-shirt as well. Tell your mom, thank you so much. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to? Any others?
Well, I went, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I went to the one in Hillcrest Heights. It was nice. A little band there. We used some money. We had a band.
No, no.
Okay, all righty. It was nice. They had a good crowd. Inspector General came there. Oh, the sheriff deputies there at the Capitol. Ground Park Police was there. Councilperson, I get them mixed up. Wallow, Krista. Which one was it?
Oriana, Councilmember Oriana.
Mariana, she was there.
Okay.
I think we took some pictures there. And Miss Bryant was there, and Mr. Jones was there. But it was real nice.
Okay. They had a band there too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. They had a lot of food trucks I saw too.
Yeah, they had a couple of food trucks.
Okay.
They had face makeup for the kids, balloons, bubble machine. All
Okay.
kinds of stuff.
Anyone else? Okay. Back to school, community resource for the data. Mr. Melton and Mr. Jones. Oh, Ms. Bryant.
No, I just wanted to mention that the chief of police of the Parks and Recreation, he was there and he shared with me that although they manage all the parks, because it's a state agency, because they manage all the parks in Prince George's County, but they're a state agency, we don't have any authority or any interaction with them. I just thought that was interesting since our tax bill includes a lot for Parks and Rec. And I just thought it was an interesting way to get around it. That's all, but it was really a great event. Like it was a good turnout. They had live music there. They had ice cones without the sugar, so I was really pleased with that. But yeah, it was a great event.
Thank you. Okay, so anybody else? Yes, okay. Next up, Mr. Melton and Mr. Jones, with the back to school community resource fair.
Mr. Jones, did you want to give an overview first?
You can kick us off. That's fine.
So this was an excellent event, and I think it was also particularly good for us to be there because I think there was a number of community members who have English as a second language, which can oftentimes be a vulnerable or marginalized community. And so at this event, there were a lot of free resources. They were doing free dental work, free health checks. They were doing a number of things. They had food for the individuals, and obviously us having a table gave us an opportunity to interact with a number of people who were able to learn more about the complaint process and what it is that we're doing in the community. By Mr. Jones being there and being fluent in Spanish, I thought it was really good because he was able to communicate all of this stuff to everyone that may not have spoken English. And yeah, I think it actually served as a model for, I think, the type of events that are a little bit more intimate, but impactful at the same time for us to be able to really give people information, do handouts. Thank you, Tangi, for having us be so prepared and having everything that we needed ready when we arrived for all of the citizens to be able to interact with us.
And where was this at?
It was in the Arts District of Hyattsville.
Okay. Mr. Jones, did you have anything you wanted to say, sir?
Yeah, I just add, I guess echoing Mr. Melton. I thought it was really great. It was awesome that we had our materials in Spanish as well, and the opportunity to speak to some of the community who had no idea that something like us existed, particularly, for them, or that we could even speak, their language. I think it was just huge. So it was a cool event. There were a lot of people coming through. There were a lot of different, even just, parts and services of the county represented. And it was really cool that the main person for the law firm who was there, he's like a person who's super involved in, advocacy and a lot of other things. So it was cool to get to talk to him and the organization that collaborated on the event as well in this, in this back to school drive kind of focus. So it was just really, really great. Glad we had the opportunity to be there. There was definitely a lot of community, interaction there.
Great, thank you. Since you're so fluent in Spanish, you want to come with us everywhere, right?
I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll.
No, you are. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Melton and Mr. Jones. NACO conference, we have some members of the board members that attended that, so you guys would like to speak about that and what you learned or your experiences there. Have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so the three of us went to the Mako conference in Ocean City. And so it was my first time. I know Mrs. Ridley has been before, and I don't know if I think you've been before as well. So this was my first conference. So there were lots, the agenda was massive. So almost too much to choose from. And a lot of it focused on technology and artificial intelligence and those kind of things. So one of the sessions that I went to was, and I don't have a phone here, mitigating risk, LGIT support for law enforcement agencies in Maryland communities. And so I didn't even know what they were until I went to that session. So apparently they indemnify police departments across the state, and they provide training, lots and lots of training. Everything from counterterrorism to threats in schools and they will even customize trainings for law enforcement agencies. And so that one was a really good conference, session. I also went to one where the state's attorneys also presented. They presented on some of the cases that, some of the high sort of profile cases that make news, and how when laws change, how that affects their prosecution of cases and stuff. So that was a pretty decent session as well. And we did a lot of networking. I met people from all over the state and talked to people. And so people were really happy to see me wore our shirts. So people stopped us, and at least me, it's really new experience, but to ask us about how the police accountability board was going in Georgia County. So I tried to give us a glowing report, but overall it was a good experience, and glad I was able to go.
I was just gonna add that, yes, when we went last year, so it's not when you're by yourself, it's when you're with a group of people and they notice the shirts. We actually had someone actually from the county say, oh, exactly, what do you do in PG County? Because they noticed the logo. So I will say that people are jealous of the shirts. So whenever we go somewhere, I think we should, as a group, at least attend a session or meet up in the sessions to wear the shirts. And as far as training, the one that stuck out to me was I did one about first responders and retaining first responders. I think Crystal was in that as well. They had the Baltimore chief of police there, and he was talking about how he actually was the opposite of most people, that he was doing really well as far as having people fill his spots. He went over what he was doing with a lot of innovation. Like, he's really, really good. They also had firefighters there speaking about what they're doing to kind of get people involved in it. So that was pretty good. So we also did, as far as the exhibits, we talked with someone about the rescue thing.
The defibrillator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll let Marsha talk about that. She spent a lot of time, just briefly about.
I want to do traumas.
Oh, no. And we also did one where with the exhibits, we actually took a picture together, three of us, this little crab, Maryland.
Yeah, Annapolis from Anne Arundel County, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a good time, and Also saw Abby there, so we also did a group picture, so we should be sharing some.
Thank you.
I actually went to a class about the drones. But I also had lunch with one of the county council people in Montgomery County. He was telling me that Montgomery County was the first group of people that did the pilot program for these drones. But I had a conversation with Mr. Stanton, and so Mr. Stanton doesn't want me to talk about it because he said that there's a lot of policy and a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that. And he said he's working on that with the police department, you know. So he had asked me just not to.
Do they have an actual drone there? Did you say drone?
Drone.
Okay, so did you actually get to see a drone? Did they give a demonstration of it and things like that?
I didn't see one in the
Okay.
class that I went to.
Okay.
You know, I saw it on his phone.
Okay.
That he was showing me, and he was showing me where the tower is for that device to come over here to Prince George's County. He was also telling me where it normally would take them 12 minutes to get to an emergency, but because they have that device, it only takes them 2 minutes. You know. So it was a long conversation, real interesting. He told me one of those devices cost $55,000.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Yeah, I didn't know they was that
And I
expensive.
know there's an issue with us being in restricted airspace, we're so close to the White House and all the monuments and things like that. So I know that's probably what they're working on.
But he also told me when that device leaves that tower up in Eaton, the camera is not on. He said a lot of people were complaining about invasion of privacy. But he said when that device actually takes off, the camera is not on. The camera only comes on when you get to the incident area. Yeah, which was real interesting. But he said it took 3.5 years for them to get that program off the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he also volunteered that he could come meet with us, so we can come to.
I want to fly the drone, so when you talk to them, say it's chill. Okay. Yeah, okay, that was good, okay. So, just hit the mic.
Oh, I did, yeah. Oh, okay.
Something else?
No, she was just.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. And I know we had from the other conference, I think we spoke about it the last time, but I think we're supposed to get some reports from the previous conference as well. Have we received those yet, staff, from the previous conference? We did? Okay, I'm having issues with my laptop, I'm sorry.
So you send them out for us to be able to read everything? Yeah, they're all on the. They're all on the share.
Okay, so we have.
We have so many computer problems.
Oh, I take care.
Because privacy matters and everything, you can't send them out individually to everyone.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna work on everybody's computer, so you should be able to access. them.
Okay, thank you, I forgot, I am having computer issues. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, yes,
I
sir.
want to suggest, you know, at the Mako conference
Mhm.
and the Maryland League of Municipality,
So you have to speak in your mic, you can hear.
I was saying at those two conferences, we should work with the other police accountability board so that we can have a workshop, the police accountability boards around the states that, because that's what they do at the municipalities. They had 2 or 3 people from different counties presenting. So, but we need to work with, I don't know if the staff.
Yeah, I have, I'm working on a concept paper for that.
Okay.
You have to have something in order to work with. And so they're like 2 projects that, but it's a concept paper that you all will have to sort of vote on, to make sure. But that won't come until the end of the year. And then you have to present it to the body and then they'll vote on it in November.
Because I think a lot of people will come to that workshop. I'm talking about the municipalities and also Mako counties and stuff, just to get some briefing on what, you know, what not only we, just accountability board across the states.
Okay, maybe we can even host and invite VAPs to come in and meet with us as well. Like that would be something. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Next, just one on the old business. Please kind of do report rules and procedures. Everybody get a copy of the documents. That's well, can you access it? I can access it. I think we had some. But I have issues. Thank you, actually, person who came here for helping me out. Can everybody pull it up? Rats. All right, so I know we probably, so I want to make sure that we stay within a time frame in 2 hours. I think we can try to have a hard stop at 8:30. So we can try to get through as much as possible. That would be good. One of the things I do want to say is that I am a little concerned with the way that it's written. There were a lot of things in here that I saw that maybe were repetitive and maybe not within our purview and things like that. So I guess we can try to talk about it and get through some of it. The additional rules to consider. Oh. I might say something. Oh, Mr. Jones, did you say something? Sir?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no worry. So the additional rules to consider, I did not see anyone's name that had it. Was that always on the document, or did somebody else add that? Do we know? On the first page? Those 5? Okay. So let's just go through. I'm starting off that. Let's see. Everybody, can you pull it up, everybody? Okay, great. Article 1, general provisions. An application. Mr. Bergamini, who's no longer with us, made a comment on that. Did anybody have anything they want to say on that? Silence means no.
I think it could just be gone and burned with C. Because all it's telling us is it's supplemental to the state and local legislation.
You said C.
Yeah, I mean, all it's telling you is that it's supplemental. It didn't necessarily need.
Okay, gotcha.
So merge C and D suggestions. Merge C and D
Yeah,
suggestions.
I would think, because it's, you know, like maybe make it something like at the end, as supplementary requirements to those set for the state level legislation. Something like that.
And if I don't see a hand up, Ms. Brown or Mr. Jones, please just let me know somewhere. Thank you. Okay. Rule number 2, definitions.
Yeah, I was curious
Yes, ma'am.
why it was gonna be in the appendix rather than the bottom of the document.
Yes. We, we share. It's like we share your finances. So, you were saying that you think.
I was just wondering what the reason for putting definitions in the appendix as opposed to the bottom.
So unfortunately, I can't answer that because I didn't write that, but, I guess we can take,
I don't see any definition. You know, I think Mr. James.
yes,
I can't even hear you.
Attorney.
Both of you, I was saying, I can't hear anything down here.
I think Mr. James and his asked the question because he didn't see any
Okay,
at all. So I think we need to do definitions. But I just was wondering why.
Mr. James, you want to speak to that?
No, I mean, for me, it's just, it doesn't exist. So it's hard
Okay.
to account for it as it relates to some of the terms used. So
All right.
I don't have a problem with it being an appendix, because I don't know if we have to update things, and it may be easier to update an appendix than to come back and update this entire document. So the definitions in an appendix. That's fine.
Wouldn't be anything. Doesn't change it. It's still a change.
So, we're gonna strike it.
No, I mean, that we don't need some definitions. That's the point. Somebody got to work on it.
I'm sorry, do we have someone keeping record of what we
Change.
agree to and everything?
I just
I
wrote
know
it.
you break it down, but I want to make sure.
Yeah. that's formal record. Okay.
I'm attentive, Mr. Miller. I'm attentive. So between two of us, we'll get it right.
You all both calling toes? I'm Mr.
We got it. We got it.
Thank you. So I just want to. Definitions. I'm sorry, are we gonna come up with the definitions now? Or we on? Okay.
No.
Okay.
You gotta get out.
I mean, you know, just, yeah, anytime Mrs. Springs does this, it's enough. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Students. I think, Mr. Jones is on this, and anybody have anything on their duties? 3.1 investigation. Hey,
I guess I was just wondering why the do investigation, which is probably the least of what we do, was listed at the beginning.
mhm.
And I also noticed that in some of them, if y'all are talking about procedures, I don't see time frame. It said after, but after could be a year as opposed to within a certain time. Like a member of the
Okay.
Second Street.
Yeah, I think considers should be considered.
Yeah, we changed.
Okay.
All right, so. So this is the time frame. So. See, everybody on camera.
Can you go back to
Oh.
the chair, to the one that talks about the law enforcement agency
Oh,
and ACC? That's an external, that's not our board, that would be, so I'm not sure why it's listed in here. It might be that it has to be requested from that entity within a certain time frame, but we can't dictate what they.
the law enforcement agency and the ACC must respond to a request for additional information for the 10 business within 10 business days.
Yes, it is.
Oh, you know what? Let me tell you how sad this is. I'm thinking this is red. I'm like, it ain't working. It's up here. So, yeah, that's-
Just, question, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, people start keeping up with updates. So for 3.1A, we're only making the change of, statistics reference development considered. That's the only thing we're doing with that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Melton, just consider, yeah.
I think there may be. You've been testifying again. I think there may be consideration to renumber that 3.1 as well. I think that was the question was whether investigation should be at the top. So
Okay, so put that
that
up there.
may be renumbered.
Yeah.
Okay. Number or place it somewhere else is what we're saying.
All right. Okay, so now the law enforcement.
We're back on B. Great. It just should have more specificity.
On B.
Mhm.
Okay. Which part?
Right, right.
I'm sorry.
And in the, on the top of the next page, it talks about what the law enforcement agency is supposed to do. It should talk about what we're supposed to ask of them. But it's Mr. James' point. I did want to just overall, it's a little confusing, like on 3.2, police accountability and transparency. Whether the board might consider separating out like a section on how you all handle complaints, a section on how you handle AHB processing, how you handle the ACC appointment, as opposed to putting it all under how you handle those quarterly meetings with the chiefs, how you handle community. So somebody look at it here can go straight there and say, what is our rule for quarterly meetings with the chiefs? You know, we schedule them. We have, y'all have a process. Y'all used the last time. That's what should be
What you got?
in here.
So,
Or they should be for consideration. So it's a bit yeah, the three, where they lump transparency and police accountability.
3.2.
The 3.2, you saying break that up?
The 3.2, 3.3.
Okay.
They saying break those up more into subparts?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
like complaints, how you all are handling complaints, how you're handling the appointment process for ACC and AHB. How you know, how you.
I'm following you, but are you saying that to move them from the section completely, or to just break the subparts in that section? So like 3.2, should it be other sections within that subsection? Or are you saying just completely move 3.2 and 3.3 completely somewhere else and tie those with different sections?
No, I think it could be in that section. I'm just saying it should be more specific to what you all are doing.
Okay.
Under each one. It was kind of difficult to follow in the way it was written.
So that's 3.2 and 3.3.
Three, yes.
Okay. So under 3.2, 3.3, A, the board appoints at least 2 civilian members. I think it should be the board appoints 2 civilian members. Sorry. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, yeah, sorry.
So I don't do much.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Yes, under 3.3, I believe the appointments, A, the board appoints at least 2. I think it should be the board appoints 2 civilian members to the administrative judge.
I think it was worded that way to give us freedom as a board.
To appoint, but
We gotta go back to the list.
yeah, the legislation says we appoint.
So we couldn't do more.
No, it's
okay.
for the other,
Uh,
for the AHP. That's an example where, which one are you?
A, 3.3, A.
I think, it seems like Mr. James made reference to it in his comments. It seems like that there should, if it's the process, that it should be incorporated in there. So the board appoints to through this process of the pool of 10 or whatever it is. Same way for both of them, so that it goes in and tells what the process y'all selected.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's not listed.
Okay, so it should be in each one for A and B.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to list the process for the appointments for the civilian, for the ACC, and list the process for the civilian members to the administrative. All right, so process. All right, on C, before serving as a member of the PHP, the board shall ensure that its appointees receive the required training from the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. The comment was that the board do this with the county staff. I think that would be probably staff. That's just my thoughts. So with the training that we're under our selection, you guys could then make sure that they are registered and complete the training. Okay. Okay. So the administrative hearing board specialist will take care of that.
Here, Mr. Chair, is another example. If it was done differently, a section that talks about the administrative charging committee, so D would be within the same section as AC, anything having to do with ACC, because this is talking about the ability to appoint yourself or someone else. So one section talks about ACC, another section AHP, and everything. You have the
Okay, what we said about that, I'm sorry, Councilman.
I'm saying, if you notice in D,
Mhm.
it says shall appoint himself or herself to the ACC or designate. I'm saying that the way, I think it would be helpful if there was a section on administrative charging committee in that process, including the ability to select yourself. As opposed to putting it down here in D.
So, separate, okay.
So up here talks about the ACC right here.
Right.
So anything dealing with the ACC, including D, should be within the same.
Okay. I'm just-
Because she was kind of
APC all together.
AHD all
Yeah.
together, so that you know every process needs as it relates to it. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Okay. Get that many spring.
Already.
You speed up, I apologize. All right, so we got that, 3.4 reporting.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted, as far as, so, in Attorney Ken, are we, as far as Kenan's comment about, us appointing 10 members, are we only sticking with statutory or can we include that?
No, I think this is your rules of procedure and supplementary to what is required. So you all came up and voted for the 10. So I think whatever process you all decide for making that selection should be in here.
Okay.
As long as it does not, go against what the legislature requires.
So we can add that.
That's what I'm saying. I think that information about
Okay.
whatever your process is gonna be should be in here, because that's the whole point of this document.
So including that in the process will be okay.
Yes,
So I want to put, it's okay to include that as part of it.
the 10, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, we're on 3.4 reporting now. Set identify the trend.
So I had a question on this one too, I'm sorry. Again, some of the stuff is a regurgitation of what's already in our operating documents. But if in this particular case, you're talking about what is the process? I remember last time you all said in October, you're going to do this, select a committee, subcommittee, you know. And in November, you're gonna do this by no later than November 30th, you're going to have the first draft, you know, whatever it is, what that process is going to be, that's going to guide you to finish this annual report. If the chair is going to appoint subcommittees to do sections, I think that's what y'all did last year, right? Because this stuff is already noted in other places.
So we should just, document the process.
What y'all want
Right.
to do, so
Okay, we'll just.
what y'all think is best.
I would say subcommittees, but the next subcommittees on different subjects. Anybody have any thoughts on that? We okay with that? I was thinking, well, but I was
I
thinking.
just get a little nervous getting too granular on the process from everything we say in the rules of procedure. Only because I feel like we do have the operating document breaking out how we're doing everything. And allows us to amend that process if we want to. If we find out, you know, through experience or through need that there's a different way of doing it. Now we gotta go back and kind of update and amend this document as well.
And I wouldn't disagree with you, but I'm kind of looking at which operating document are you,
Strategic, right?
which is the strategic plan, which we're talking about doing not necessarily, but the strategic plan was supposed to help inform this, and I agree with you not to grant you, but it could have some, because last time we were late, we said we wanted it done by the 31st, but we didn't have a process that would help move that along. And I'm not talking about specifics, but something, it just gives some guidance.
So,
If y'all all were to.
But I thought we was going over this because we have not approved of rules and procedures. You know what I mean? I thought we going over this just to approve, finally, so we can add that in the files. This is our rules and procedure. What y'all talking about is going on subcommittees and stuff like that. I thought we just going over there, take out what we don't want, then vote on this thing. Because we have to have rules and procedure in place.
There is no requirement that you all have rules and procedure. That was something you all decided that you wanted to do. Or some people decided that.
and,
There is, Mr. O'Neill, before you all were appointed, there was, I think, Marcia, you were on it. There was a work group that created, you were on it, yeah, were you on this, It was a work group that was with Mr. Stanton and, Mr. and Judge Darnell.
Inspector General Darnell.
Yeah, that came up with guiding principles. And part of what originally that guiding principle was going to be could be turned into rules of procedure, but it wasn't required. So a lot of the stuff is in those guiding principles that y'all have been using previously.
This just, I guess, just sharing my vision, or at least what I thought I was thinking about for this is, I looked at this as maybe us establishing some level of like figuratively, this is like the 10 Commandments, right? Like this is what we will and won't do, but not the entire Proverbs, not the entire Bible, you know what I mean? And so,
This thing
I was
is bigger
hoping we
than it
could,
needs to be.
yeah, I was hoping we could just establish some of those very fundamental things that help us operate, guide how we get our work done. So I appreciate you bringing up like stuff that will help us stay on time, things that are very critical. But, and I don't know that we have everything in here for that, but I guess I looked at it at that level.
Yeah, this is the same almost as a lot of the strategic plan and the guiding principles. So it's sort of a repeat. It's a little larger than what y'all originally talked about, doing. So I fully agree.
And
As I looked at some samples from other entities that have rules and procedures, and they were kind of in there.
Yeah,
sure.
right. That's what I was saying. It's just, I'm looking at the thing I attended that meeting that the Inspector General, he gave us the support. And I'm looking at rules and procedures, Howard County Police. It's a small document, just general stuff. And I thought that I was under the impression that we just supposed to have, it wasn't supposed to be this detailed, like this is just a simple document. And that we had for us to approve. I think what we have here going over is more detailed. Right. I mean, this one is like 1, 2. This is like you said, it's about right.
Yeah, I mean, I think others should give their opinion too,
Yeah,
I love to hear from other people. But I think we should have what we have to do in here. I don't necessarily know that I would need this document to tell me how to do it or how we intend to do it. But again, that's just my opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little confused about the civilian complaint process. So in this document, would we have, like for instance, I thought it would have the time that civilians can come in and,
So yeah,
so, and then let them know they can only come in on Wednesday.
well, right, so I think from what Milton was saying too, that we're getting so deep into it that we're going to get a set of rules that are so strict, that there will be no waivers, and that you will be held to the standard of this.
Right.
And so I don't think that we should do a lot of the things like Mr. Milton was saying. It should be very basic. So I mean, we've been doing this almost 2 years. If you have a basic understanding, it shouldn't take this much to figure out the procedures, certain things like that. I don't think that we should have anything that specifies land of the citizen and things like that, right? We don't know what may happen. So I think we just need to make it generic, but basic, but to the point. Right, that makes sense. But it was a lot. And then everybody took the time to read it and gave some thought. But I personally thought it was a lot, but I was going through the consensus of the group. I thought everybody wanted this was a lot to me. And again,
It's the same stuff.
yeah, it's repetitive. That's why I said I had some issues with the way it was written because some of the things were repetitive. Some of the things I didn't think need to be in there. But that's just my opinion. Anybody else?
I would say, I would just separate rules and separate from procedures. We just need 5 pages of rules to clearly articulate how we operate. The procedures may be separate. The procedure for AHB appointments, AC, that may be a different document. But it's about 3 to 5 pages of rules that we need to clearly define how we operate. So that may be different from this structure, but I definitely believe that we need to document both the rules and then those procedures so that we aren't reinventing the wheel every single time we turn around and we have to fill a vacancy. Oh, well, what are we supposed to do? What did we do last? That we need to document that as a procedure so we aren't trying to cobble together meeting minutes to figure out what we decided to do.
Okay.
Because
So
the rules are already listed in that strategic, you know, the legislative basis. Yeah.
So okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, sort of to complement what Mr. James was saying, it's like when you have statutes and regulations, statutes are sort of the broad thing, and the regulations sort of tell you how to carry it out. So sort of thinking about the same line as what Mr. James has said, is that we have something simpler and then have maybe a separate document that outlines what the
Process.
what the processes actually are.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying, and I'm just looking at this, I'm looking at Howard County. It says rules of procedure. Number 1, general membership, organization, meetings, open meeting, functionality, agenda, meeting minutes, executive, in our case, executive director, public attendance, disruptive conduct, functions and duties, receive complaint, amendments. Then it's the end. It's that's it. You know, this thing we got here is going too deep. You know, and all that is in there. I mean, if you need this copy, it's supposed to be just that. That's simple.
So at this point, do we want to use other jurisdictions to kind of look at them, see what they're doing, and kind of bring our own together to say, okay, here are the most important ones, and how we think, like Mr. James said, the rules. We take those rules, write those down, and then at a later date, we can do the procedures. To be quite honest, a lot of the things that we've already done, all we got to do is just stop. And just put that in. I think that the last round of interviews for the replacement of PHP, I think it's fantastic. So I think that we should use some of those processes. The only thing is, like Mr. Miller was saying, and some others, we don't want to get too detailed to say that these are the questions that you have to ask and things like that. So it has to be, but it's just that process, but we have to have rules. So any suggestions on that, other than to look at some others to say some of these sections that we need to have the rules defined. Because to be quite honest, we would have finished this to the rest of the year. We're going ready for September. We have to do annual report. And I was thinking that we would start breaking up into subgroups to start compiling whatever information we needed to submit the report for draft. So by January or December 1st, we already know. The only thing we would have to change is the date. That's that. We just change the date. So other than that, I mean, that's just my thought. I thought I was alone on an island, but it was a lot. There was a lot.
And I just looked at this, see this book here, what I'm looking at, they got tout, one of them, what county is this? I know they're small. It's Kent County.
I think the staff did send us,
This ain't no 2 pages, you know what I mean? It's just one liners.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add is like, I think I was under the impression that we were supposed to do that before today. You know what I mean?
to pick out those ones,
To make our edits, put in our comments.
but I think, right. But I think what happened is because we saw this document, we assumed that we had to go by this document. Like this was a document that was going to lead us. But thankfully, the staff did include additional other police accountability rules in their rules. This is, to be quite honest, I don't think it's this thick. It's not this thick. We're cutting a lot of trees. Something that we can summarize.
There's some other ones that I've seen, like Baltimore, it's about five pages.
Yes.
And it just talks about what you gotta do. In terms of
Any other suggestions? Like, comments, just get that in.
See the wheels turn this way. So maybe the next step would be is to draft something that's shorter than this and separate out, like Mr. James just said, the procedures versus the rules, and then send it back out to folks and go from there, whether we vote on it at the next meeting or gives us another list.
Yeah, so that's what anyone else. That's about what you say. Yeah. I never said that.
I think, I agree with everybody, what everybody's saying. I think, however, we should probably do an outline, a very general outline first, before we have the same help. Because although we are on the same page here, whoever's drafting, it'll probably be 1 or 2 people, and they may go somewhere as a group we're not going. So I think we should get a really broad outline, like we're writing a paper of kind of how we're gonna do it really quickly, and then come back with a group. Hey, let's say within like a few days, we're not talking 2 weeks, like somebody drafts it, we get like 2 or 3 days to review it, and then from there, we make it a bigger, edit or project.
And I think that'll be sufficient enough time for 2 or 3 days, because we'll all be working on it, so we'll understand what's in it when we make that decision. So I'm okay with that. Just make it happen, okay. So are we going to look at other police accountability rules within the county, to do that and figure out, what we want to have in there, and then vote on that? How do we want that to look? Because if we're all looking at different documents and we pull 5 and 6 different things, then we're running back into the same issue. I mean, we can look at another one and just kind of review maybe 2. And I don't want to put any jurisdiction out there, but we can look at a couple. We can decide which one we want to look at, and then maybe mimic that.
I wonder if we could establish who would want to volunteer as a subgroup to do this initial stage. And we vest that with them. They pick the best sample that they think looks amazing for our group, and we just trust that they're picking one that is suitable, because we're gonna have an opportunity to provide comment.
Okay.
But that at least doesn't hold up every part of the process having to be vetted. Because I think the outline is really easy to add suggestions to, because it's an outline. So
Okay.
it wouldn't be too much text when we do get a chance to provide comment.
Cause then, to your point, the outline to the sports point, it will say what should be included. And then you all can agree on what pieces, not even the language, but what the topics should be included. And then you can write the language once you agree on the topics.
Everybody's nodding their head, so that's a yes. So I don't know, Mrs. Spring, did you hear Mr. Melton say that he was gonna leave?
I want to smell these a lot.
And I thought she was.
Oh,
I
okay.
can.
And now I'll assist you. Anyone else? Oh, I see. Okay. Dr. Coleman's hand went up. Okay.
I'll pretend.
So just to be clear, there's no clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
I am going to review other jurisdictions, rules and procedure, see which ones I think kind of fit what we need, do a outline, and then submit it to the group.
Correct.
And then the outline, we just vote on that, that'd be the procedure. Is that right? You know, we're not gonna go through this long process, huh? Once you get the outline set, we vote on that, and that's the end of it.
For a little bit, because we have to go back and fill it in. But it's not gonna be this. It won't be this. It should be easier. Oh,
No, it won't. You can even do something. That made your typing job better for today, right? Yes.
you know, most of those I have handwritten and typed.
I'm always doing so much. Okay. All right, so our next meeting, I don't have a calendar. Anybody know? September 9/11. Okay, so September 11th. So by September 11th, we'll have that document before, right? Or we'll have the document then, and then after the 11th, by that Friday, the 13th, we'll be able to vote. What do you think?
So when you wanna have it when? Sorry, sorry, when you work on this holiday week, when do you wanna have it by?
So I'm asking, what do you think?
I'm just doing an outline, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna really literally just find the one I like,
Gotcha.
and I'm gonna copy and do that. So. You wanna have it by the 11th, you say you wanna have it before the meeting to look at?
Well, we can, yeah, we can have it at that meeting to look at, it, and then by that Friday,
See, now I'll have this stuff together,
okay,
so get the ball rolling.
so you wanna do it then?
So if I give it to everybody by Monday night, I'd be like midnight or 11, would that good for us to talk about it? Because I'd rather for us to talk about it instead of having it.
Monday night, Labor Day?
No, we meet the 11th, so the 9th, my goal is to have you guys by night.
Monday
Yes,
night.
and I'll send it to staff and they'll send it out.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Perfect.
All right, get me home. Okay.
You can take the holiday off. So that is September. Thank you for speaking up, Mr. Melvin. I think I just started with me. All right. So so that's what we'll put that on. We're not on hold, but we're moving on a different process for the review season. So, thank you, Mrs. Spring. Dr. Cook. Next up, under our business is action plan dashboard.
All right, so thank you, staff, for providing everybody with a printout. All of you should have a printout of what the dashboard kind of looks like right now. It's just a generic sort of spreadsheet that lists out all of the things in our action plan. It gives us an ability to assign responsibility and then track status throughout the year. A number of our tasks have deadlines within the plan. So I tried to make sure that the quarters correspond with what we said we're gonna do. So as an example, under goal 1, it says we're gonna meet with law enforcement agency heads quarterly. When we update this, it would have 3 check marks for quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. And we would see that it's shaded in for quarter 4, which means we gotta do it again. Does that make sense to everybody? I just want to make sure everybody can kind of follow the sheet. Okay. And then I've been, over the last few weeks, corresponding with you all, collecting information about who would like to volunteer for what sections of the plan. You may not necessarily be directly doing all of the work, but you are at least overseeing that it gets done and meets the deadlines. And so my hope is that everyone can agree to the parts that they're responsible for and kind of oversee them. Thank you to everybody who volunteered. As of right now, I think we have only 2 tasks that have no volunteers. It appears that inviting the head of PGC, PCA to one meeting could use someone to coordinate or oversee that. And then we had this sort of vision for helping ourselves determine if we could consolidate sort of complaints into some larger web-based system. I don't know if that falls within anybody's sort of purview or whether you have connections to something like that. But those are the only 2 as of right now.
That's just one question. I want to go back to the plan. Because this was before, I was looking at invite sheriff and police chief to meet with me. You got Brian. This was from before we had the meeting. The first task, this sheet, because we had that meeting already, didn't we? You know, where it said invite sheriff and police chief to meet with PA.
Yeah.
So it should have, I mean, you just hadn't updated this.
Right.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we like is for, as things get completed, you know, we just have this get updated to correspond with when things get done. So there have been some discussion about, Marvin Joe made a good recommendation that we possibly have Ebony sort of be the central person to just keep it and update it. That way, any correspondence wouldn't be between members and kind of be pushing us into that territory of having open meeting act violations. So I can ask Ebony about that and see if that's a possibility. But again, it would be our responsibility to communicate what we've gotten done so that we can check this off, knowing that we met all the tasks. Mr. James and Mrs. Springs, Dr. Coleman have quite a few items on here. And so, you know, some of them may have been started, things like that. I know they have notified me of some things that were started, but also some things that were completed. We can add dates, all kind of things, just to make sure we have it in a centralized place. In fact, I would even recommend that we assign some time every quarter in a meeting to just go over this and sort of account for all of our updates and just make sure that the document is in a good place and most updated and relevant information is included. So we just kind of ended on quarter 3. That's something we could also do next meeting if others were, you know, if time permitted, we could do that next meeting as well, just to move into quarter 4.
Can I ask 2 questions? One, this one is based on a calendar year, quarters and not the fiscal year.
Mhm.
Okay. And the second, is all of it based on the strategic plan in a way to be able to make sure you all are meeting the requirements of the strategic plan? Is that reflected in here.
Yeah. So, anything that was listed as a to-do, as a task or an objective, except for, whatever, and then corresponding milestones to check those. Anything that said annually, I just filled in the entire year, so that it has to be done at some point throughout the year, but, any other thing might have been by a quarter, so. Also, please pay attention to all of the tasks that were designated to staff. Staff was kind enough to say they would love to help us and support us in some of those areas. And so if we put it down, they're fine with that. If anybody has any objections to any of those items, I guess feel free to speak, but we appreciate their support with some of that too.
Our next update for you, Mr. Milton, will be when you might have an update at the next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think, again, if we can just calibrate on where we are with all of these, that would just require everybody to take a really good look at the action plan, read what it actually says. This is like an abbreviated version, and then be prepared to kind of update and brief us on where we are in terms of status and what has been completed. It'd be awesome if we had dates as well, if you completed anything. But if not, that's also a good time for us to maybe hear how we intend to move forward with next steps, if it isn't necessarily something we have any traction.
You said that there were two that did not have any volunteers. Which goal was that under?
Goal one.
Okay, so
The third item under goal one, sixth item under goal two.
And you're talking about inviting them to one of our meetings, go number three, and go number three under goal number one.
Yeah.
The police chief association numbers.
Yeah. So that consolidated web-based system kind of goes back to what Mr. James used to say. It's like, be very careful about things being in your plan that you really can't necessarily control. And we might have hurt ourselves by picking a goal that requires us to coordinate with other state and local organizations to be able to do that. I mean, I think it's a great goal for us to have, and it's not a mandate, so it's just a goal. But if we don't have anybody that can be assigned to that right now, that's fine.
And who is the head of the chief's name? We know who that is?
The head of
The county chiefs association.
He's new. He's new, right? He's new.
No, what, I didn't hear what.
She said Chief Collins, and he was at the last meeting.
What count, I mean, what.
He got Bladensburg.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we want to, so the third thing here is that we want him to come by himself to a meeting. Is that what we're saying here for number three?
Okay.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just need to call him up and do that.
Right.
Is that what we?
Yes, ma'am.
So Lafayette, you actually want us, when you said host, you actually want the person or persons to come here.
Yeah.
For that,
Number three.
for that task that we were just talking about, yeah, we would just invite him to a meeting that we have, and that would satisfy the goal, but we want to be able to do that.
Well, I really wasn't talking about kids. I was talking about when you got them down here, to host 3 in-person meet, community sessions.
Which goal is that, Ms.?
It's the fourth one down, goal 4.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I think we done that, right? Well,
We did 1.
right. Yeah, so, okay. So I guess what you're asking is, oh, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
my question is, so we wouldn't attend one of the community events?
Not for that goal.
Not for that
We
goal,
set a
okay.
goal to host 3
Right.
events. So the first one, we all came, but not everybody, but for those that were able to make it, we set it up, we
Mhm.
coordinated, and we invited the community to come in. By our goals and our measures, we would need to do 2 more of those by the end of the year.
And this is where we would do our PowerPoint presentation overnight. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could,
That's what we.
but, you know, I guess we would have flexibility to do something else if we wanted to do something else that we thought was valuable for the community, to raise awareness.
I think, what you said, about English as a second language, some of those citizens, I think we should specifically focus on what we have in the next community. Some awareness. Just specifically for them so they can understand the process with things like that.
Everybody got their hand.
Oh,
I just have a question for, goal, goal 1. So, Chief Collins said was that chief speaker, last meeting that we had. Would that satisfy that goal?
I think I interpreted it as, I would have to read the plan just to make sure, and I think the intent is for him to come, be invited to our. But if it says a meeting, then I would say,
But I think that would be, if he comes to our meeting, he's head of the chiefs. He will be telling us what they're talking in the overall meeting in the county, what they're seeing happening and all that.
I mean, I think we discussed this at one time, and I think I remember you saying you like the idea of having them come to our meeting because we get to dictate the conversation.
Well, that's what the quarterly meetings. Our
With
quarterly
the other
meetings.
chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, in our mandate, it says they have to come to our meeting. But I'm looking at this guy coming and saying, and we're asking him, when you have your monthly or whatever chief fee, what are you finding? And how we can have input in helping whatever trends they see and stuff. And that's what they've been discussing with, let's say, like you were saying, are they talking about drones or whatever? Are they talking about consolidation of buying more cams, or upgrade, I mean, because in Prince George's County, the police department, we have the second rate cams compared to everybody else, I mean, what are they talking about as chiefs? That's what I see him coming to talking to us about, which is separate from our quarterly meeting that is mandated to us.
Mr. Milton, let me tell you where I'm trying to go with this. This is, invite for a, community service, golf tournament, and it's right here in Prince George's County. So I was trying to see if we can actually attend that, whoever wants to go. We wouldn't have to pay, it's covered by the unions.
I don't think that's the same thing.
You asking would that kind of satisfy?
Yeah,
Not really,
really.
because that's, now, to kind of build off that idea,
Mhm.
I would say if there was a pre-existing event and we partner to have a platform in conjunction with that event, I think that would be more alive, satisfying, because we're there to share our information, and they just might have a population that we can tap into, but we're kind of on the side doing our own thing, inviting people to come and engage and interact with us. But other than that, us attending some other event probably wouldn't be.
Because then at that point, we would gas rather than hosting, right?
What she briefly was, some of the stuff was working on, trying to get some type of building together.
This afternoon, we had a meeting with, at-large Councilmember Hawkins, because, earlier this month, we got a small grant from the governor's office. And it was to create awareness, throughout the county about the work that we do here. And so we have tentatively set a date, for December 4th. And we'll bring out, details for you at the next meeting. We just didn't want to bog everybody down for this meeting. For actually them to host the whole, board. And it will be board specific to actually talk about the work that you all do. And it will be, a council event. And they're anticipating, because they're going to do all the media and everything like that. And it will be a board event, and they're anticipating between 1,000, 1,500 people there. They'll provide food and they'll do all the media and all that, all the coverage on it. And it's just going to be you guys. And so we will bring forth more information as it goes on. Like I said, it's just in the planning stages, but it will actually satisfy one of the things, and it'll be big. So that's something that we actually had as an office that we wanted to make sure that we provided a platform for you guys, for the attention, just to be on the work that we do here. So yeah, that's
And so can we make suggestions moving forward, something that we may think that, will benefit citizens?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. We have 4 events that we have to do under the grant. And so we're counting the one that, Tandy did, which is the National Night Out, as one of those, yeah. And so everything that we do, of course, it has to be documented and all that, because we have very strict reporting guidelines to report back to the governor's office.
I think
So,
that,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's it. So that's all. I just wanted to let you all know that this is a very, profile. And even though, the National Night Out was a larger event that a lot of people did, but we're just getting our feet wet. But everything else that we're doing going forward, and this is a fiscal year 25 grant, so everything going forward will be a PAB specific.
Okay. So I'd like to, but then again, I'd like to do something large like that, where we can get covered for me, such as like one of our citizens.
Yeah.
I think that's very important, based off of the feedback that you got. So I'd like to do something. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Mel.
No, I think that's a great event. I think that would help us out a lot. But I think it also just kind of drives home the point of, if we aren't sort of tracking a lot of our goals, time will pass us by, and we'll feel like this crunch trying to get things done by a certain quarter or by, the end of the year. And it might be really difficult to do it. So the idea is that if we can keep all these things in front of us and have an active view on it and track it appropriately, and maybe even have these quarterly updates, it'll help us to stay on top of it. To make sure anyone coordinating or leading something can just say, hey, team, we need to get this done. Let's make this a priority. And ask for any assistance or support that the rest of the board can provide.
And so our updates again, we share. Correct.
Well, I hadn't talked to Ebony about it yet, but we can discuss
If you
it.
speak to the microphone, sure she'll hear.
Yeah. So Ebony, I think you have walked out, but just to share with you, just to prevent any risk of having open meeting violations between discussions about items at work. The suggestion was that maybe you could just house this document, and individuals, members can say, hey, Ebony, on this date, I did quarter 2, can you check that as a complete part? And then you would do it. And then we do put this on the agenda at any point for a quarter. We just have that most recent version printed out for everybody. We'll do the same thing for that quarter, just discussing. I don't want anybody to get overburdened thinking that they can't do this or they gotta do it alone. Again, some of these are for you to just help us monitor and lead and kind of coordinate for us to make sure the stuff is getting done. But if you need assistance or support from the board, like it can be brought up in a meeting or and we can, do whatever we gotta do to help get that done. The last thing I'll say is, these are our goals. We set these for ourselves to try to accomplish them, but not all goals get met. I don't want to set ourselves up for excuses. But again, we just want to be very intentional about trying to do our best. If something doesn't get done, we're just going to be honest, in our annual report. We did X amount of events, we did, this amount of trends and tracking, and we'll just report out. But this is how we've set our goals, and this is something that we want to try to accomplish and achieve. But it will be reflected in our annual report of what we're able to accomplish.
But any other questions, Mr. Lowe, suggestions?
I was looking at the plan, I was thinking that one of the goals that I have, I think it's goal 3. Goal 3, I think can be similar or in line with the one that me and Ms. Copeland had, in goal 2, where it said develop best practice document, and then I had examine and recommend best practices. So I wonder if we could maybe kind of what we have, kind of maybe merge those, use that for that goal. Which is just a thought.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can you repeat them again?
Separate goals.
Yeah, one is to examine and recommend them. The other one is to create a document. So.
And we started the document first, so
Yeah.
the document would have recommendations.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was just saying maybe pull that and. But we can do that, we can just use that document.
I mean, because they are kind of segmented or sort of separated in the plan, I would just say we update it the same way. So if you say, hey, we did this, this is done, we just do both as done.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. So it was goal 2, and it was 4, goal 2, 4,
Okay.
and then goal 3, 1.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, can I add one of the whole business?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to make sure that Mr. Melvin.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Yes, ma'am.
At the last meeting, I mentioned that Delegate Taylor had asked about, any legislative changes that were desired by, that she was interested in, or this board was interested in setting forth. So I don't know if that's something, but I would like to put it on the agenda for you all to decide, whether or not there's something that you would like to see legislatively, going in January, because September started, and if you don't get it then,
Gotcha.
it won't be done.
Yeah, I do have something. So how do we want to, submit that? Should we just discuss it at the next meeting? I think you probably would already know what we would want to, submit as possible change. So.
I think September is good,
Okay.
so we can, because they're gonna have those local hearings.
And then we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, September, just so you all can get back to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. So it looks like we have a complete agenda, new business. None. Community and external outreach. None. Marsha would like to hear about that golf thing. I think Mr. Melton.
That's not the job, people.
He's interested in developing that. Training and education, none. Announcements, I don't have anything. Staff, do you have anything? So, we want to make sure, I think that we saw our email, and we want to make sure we submit our time we manage, so we can get that process moving forward. Make sure we stay up with that. And I think that is all that I have. So I think that's all I have. This spring's favorite part, unfortunately, is coming up. She always makes the most of this part. Second and third. Motion to adjourn made by Mrs. Coleman, seconded by Dr. Coleman. All in favor to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we can adjourn. Stop the report. Gotcha.